Good afternoon, everyone. I'd really like to start by... Okay, a bit better. If it's too short. I'd like to start by telling you why I'm here, because I'm sure that's on the tip of most of your tongues. Well, for me, this journey to the stage has taken 4 years. And 4 years ago, I stopped for the first time in my sailing career. I went down to an island in the Southern Ocean called South Georgia. And in South Georgia, I actually took the time to look at what was around me. I was very lucky to be able to do so. It was the most amazing experience. I was down there for almost 2 months. But I saw something there which sowed a seed in my brain, a seed that had to learn more. And what I saw down there was whaling stations. Now, South Georgia is an island 100 miles long. It has mountains on it 3,000 meters tall. It's absolutely incredible. And it is in the Southern Ocean. It's closer to Antarctica than the mainland of South America. But these whaling stations, for me, were a real symbol of what we do as human beings. We went to South Georgia between 1900 and 1950, and the whales were a resource. They were oil. We used to use that oil for candles, soap. We used to use it for nitroglycerin, for bombs for the First and Second World Wars. It was a very precious resource, precious enough that we spent a vast amount of money building 7 towns down there, and at one point having 4,500 people working down there. But when you see these whaling stations today, they're all still there. The buildings are still there. The dormitories are still there. The workshops are still there. The boats are pulled up on the beaches. The spare propellers are there, lying in the sand, waiting to go out again. And we haven't. We haven't taken them out again, and everybody's left. And that's happened because we thought we'd go back again. We invested so much time and effort in South Georgia, we always thought we'd go back, but the whales haven't returned. And I saw that not as a statement of we as human beings can be barbarians and go and kill whales, but that's what we do. We go somewhere, we find a resource, we deplete it, and we move on to the next one. And I came back from South Georgia thinking, if that's what we do, then what is the next one? And 4 years ago, that research for me began. Bit by bit, learning more and more, learning about oil, learning about coal, learning about things that, quite frankly, I really had never been taught at school and had never questioned at school, and haven't things moved on a long way just seeing these presentations and discussions today. But I never, ever questioned it. And I wouldn't consider myself as a bad person or someone who's trying to do harm, but I never questioned it. And the more I learnt, the more surprised I was how immediate these issues are. You know, I read the IEA report 2 years ago that said there's about 40 years of oil left. That was my lifetime, not 3 generations down the road. Then I went to the homepage of the World Coal Institute, and that said there's about 122 years of coal left. I thought it was 600. I mean, 600 is not great, but it's better than 122. And then I suddenly started to realize how recent all this has happened. You know, our lifetimes to us seem like the longest period of time that we can imagine, but time goes on forever. And my great-granddad was a miner on the Derbyshire-Leicestershire border. He was down the coal mines. And I sat on his knee listening to his mining stories until I was 11 years old. He talked to the pit ponies. He talked about the canaries they used to take down the mines. Now, my granddad was born 117 years ago, and 50 years of his life was spent down the mines. Now, suddenly, 117 doesn't sound that different from 122 on a website. And for me, this journey was actually quite a negative one, because a lot of this stuff is doom and gloom. As these guys said, you know, you look at these figures and it's quite scary. And I began last year to talk for the first time about sustainability. I talked publicly. I talked about what I'd learned. I talked about my passion for the subject. But it ended on something really negative. And that, for me, was a big issue. I'm not like that. I'm positive. I'm going, go and sail around the world, make things happen. That's me. That's the spirit of Ellen. But actually, I realised there was a different way also of seeing sustainability. Sustainability, I think, is a really rubbish word, because it doesn't sound exciting. It doesn't sound like something we would want to aspire to. But when you think about the way we live, the actual framework is wrong and does not work. We talk about less harm, we talk about destroying less, we talk about reductions. Everything's about reductions. If we do reduction perfectly, do we end up with nothing? Do we do nothing? Do we all live in caves? What is the framework? What are the rules that we need to live underneath so that we can develop, we can still make things, we can still have a way of life similar to the one we have today rather than going back to the caves? And that, I think, is where the opportunity lies, in teaching young people of the future what those rules are. Because this world won't change overnight, but if those rules are established, those big picture rules, waste equals food, the fact that diversity is strength, the fact that actually our system doesn't work, therefore this does, then when the moment comes for everything to change, those young people will grab that with both hands and run with it because they will understand those rules. And I think that is a most amazing opportunity to actually have the chance to do something positive. Not less harm, not a little bit less of this, that and everything else, another bung in the hole of the sinking ship, but actually to redesign it so that it can sail forever. And that's exactly why I've set up the Ellen MacArthur Foundation. That's what Ken was referring to. Ken and I have been working together for the last 6 months on this exact subject. Sailing for me is over. The last 4 years' journey has taught me that there's something much, much more important than going to sail around the world again for my own pleasure. And it is that subject of sustainability, crap as the word may be. And it's trying to find solutions for the future, and that's where all my energies are going, and that's what we're doing through the foundation. That's what brings me here today, and I've already met quite a few of you over the last few years in this space. So we're launching in September. You'll hear much more about us then, but thank you very much for the opportunity to say a few words. Thanks.